PD Beats here from Pop Turn. It's me to Samantha Brown about season 3 of From on MGM+. Welcome to the show. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited to chat. Walking on eggshells a little bit because we don't want to say much. Episodes are rolling out. By the time, this interview is out, we have been introduced to your character. Congratulations for joining From, by the way. This is awesome.
Thank you.
We're going to go back a little bit. Audition process. It's always different, but specifically, this is a different one on its own because you're joining an already established cast, right? After 2 seasons. So what can you tell me about the audition process? Did you know it was From? I'm just curious about that.
So this audition process, it was a little bit different than usual. I feel like as an actor, you get a self-tape and you usually have 48 hours to turn it around. And this was right before the Christmas break. So they actually gave us 3 weeks to turn this around. And so you sort of had the choice of, do you want to do it before the Christmas break or do you want to do it in the new year? And so I thought, let's just get it over with and then just, be a couch potato during the holiday season. I don't want this over my shoulders. And so did the tape, submitted it. And then in the new year, I got a call that I had a call back with Jack Bender. And at the time, I didn't know that I was the only person at that callback. I thought that I was still up against, 20 other people. So to hear that I was the only one there, and then they submitted me to MGM for approval. And then a week later, I was in Halifax filming. So it was wild.
Amazing. Yeah, we see the announcements that you're announced and everything. And then I'm watching these episodes. I'm like, what's going on here? How is Samantha's character going to be incorporated? I'm like,
Yeah.
It's so
and they don't
cool.
give you much.
I can't wait for people to see it. It's so cool.
Yeah. Even in the audition process, though, what was released to the press, just new to the force police officer, is all that I got at the time. So you kind of just have to make a choice. And
see, maybe it was somewhere, but I didn't even know you were a police officer. I just knew that you were joining the show.
Yeah, no, they did release that. I know that I can say that. That's all that I can say.
Yeah. I want to know what that first day on set's like. You prepared everything. You're ready to go. Does it feel like you're the new kid at school a little bit? What is that like seeing everyone? What's that first day like?
Well, you have to remember, so like you said, I come onto the show in season 3. So I was able to watch the first 2 seasons.
Yeah.
And it's wild where you're sitting on your couch and you're watching the show in your pajamas, snacking on your snacks. And then a week later, you're transported into the show. And so, you feel like you've gone inside your own TV. So that was surreal. And my very first day was a scene from episode 4, which I don't want to reveal. But it was just a chaotic scene.
Stuff happens. We'll just say stuff happens.
Stuff happens. And if you had to pick one scene to not have on your first day, that would have been.
That was your first scene?
That was my first scene, first day, first time meeting everyone in the crew. And I remember I thought, I just don't want to get fired today. I don't want to be the bottleneck in the machine. I just want to do the bare minimum so that Jack Bender is not at the monitor why did we hire this girl?
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm going to strategically look and see when episode 4 is releasing. Okay. And then I'm going to look at 2-3 days after, and I'm going to post this interview.
Yeah. Okay.
Perfect. So it'll be one of those, it'll be one of those if you know situations. People are going to be watching this interview and be like, that's it.
Exactly. But you know what? Ironically, I thought right before we started rolling, I was so nervous. You feel like a fish out of water. Yeah. And then I thought, whatever I'm feeling right now in this moment as an actor is exactly what Acosta is feeling in the world of From right now.
Yes.
So I just use that to sort of feed the scene. So technically it's reality television because it's what was really happening. So
I've said this to many people. I've said this to your castmates. I've said this to, people that are looking for new shows to watch. I watch a lot of TV. I do. I genuinely think you are on one of the greatest current television shows on TV right now on the planet. I truly think that. No, it's people, a lot of your casts I've interviewed, they know how much I love this show and I don't mess around. It's one of the best shows on TV and every season just gets bigger and bigger and scarier. So that's my next question, right? So the thing about this show is there's so many elements, but the horror movie, that component, it's so scary. I get scared watching this show. Horror movies have always been around, but there's this big kind of surge in popularity, right? Over the last 10 years, right? They're getting scarier. There's different ways to scare people. What is it like seeing those kind of horror movie elements I talked about in From on the script come to life on screen when you film? I'm really excited to know about that from your perspective, being kind of new to the show in season 3.
Yeah. It's thrilling. I mean, I'll tell you this. I have a pretty wild and active imagination. So when I'm reading a script, my mind is sort of already going as to what I think it will look like on the day.
Yeah.
Get to set and what the production designers and the special effects prosthetics team has done, it makes me embarrassed about my own imagination. Like, it's beyond like what they lift off of the page and bring to life. It is so spectacular. And when you think about the horror genre, so much of the success of the show, I feel like lives and dies on those departments. Like, you could give an amazing, incredible performance, but if the special effects team doesn't bring it to life and people aren't actually believing in the threats that are out there, your show's dead in the water.
I agree 100%. I do feel like there's some moments. The last episode of when's the last time? Like, because you went and back like and watched.
Yeah.
So the refresher. So the season finale of season 1, where Jim gets that call and he's calling during the storm, and they say your wife shouldn't be digging that hole, Jim. That's scary. That's like what? That's like one of the scariest things ever. I remember that till this day.
Yeah, whoever delivered that line too, it's just absolutely iconic.
And there's a lot of scary things that happen this season. Again, walking on eggshells, we don't want to say much. What is it like being part of kind of the horror movie, horror thriller kind of world at a time where there is a big appetite for it, though, specifically? Like, it's exciting.
Yeah, it's sort of, I'm new to this world, and I would say what's been a breath of fresh air for me is just how engaged horror fans are. Like, they're unmatched across any other
Wait
genre.
until the episodes drop. Wait.
Oh my God. Yeah. And it's, we ask you for 1 hour of your time a week to just watch our show on a Sunday night. We're asking you for 1 hour. But I just feel like from fans and horror fans that watch the show, they not only watch it once, they will rewatch it. They will go online and find Reddit boards and Facebook groups and talk about it and theorize and create maps, and just to have people around the world sort of communicating about the show and loving something that you're putting out there is so fulfilling. And I can't even imagine, I'm on season 3. I can't even imagine how everyone that's been on the show from the beginning, how fulfilled they must feel you're making something that you love, but then you're putting it out there and people are receiving it so well. So.
But I'm telling you, and again, I've seen only 4 episodes and rolling out on MGM Plus. It's elevated every season. Like, you know how hard it is? Yeah. It's so hard to just make one season good, right? Like, it's elevated every season. This season is way better than season 2. When I was interviewing people for season 2, I was like, this season is way better than season 1. Like, it's so wild to me.
Yeah. They've turned up the volume to full blast season 3. Yeah.
And I just love, and there's some storyline, like, Pegah, like Fatima's storyline this season, incredible.
Yes.
Your storyline, amazing. Like, there's so many, it's like picking which storyline you like the most. Like, there's so many cool storylines that all come together, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But that's, I think, what I love about the show too, is like, yes, it's in the horror sort of sci-fi genre, but I do feel like there's sub-genres within the show. It's right? got something for everyone.
It's got so many elements. I always see it as like the horror movie TV show, right? Because we always talk about like horror movies, and it's like, what are like TV shows that are like a very scary horror movie? It's from, because it's genuinely really scary, like the smiles and all that. So I'm excited to ask you this question, because for all your answers, you've kind of established, right, that so much happens before you go to camera on From, right? Like, so much. You're figuring out a lot of situations with the director, getting used to kind of your character before you kind of transfer that kind of from script to screen journey and go and film. So in a lot of ways, from an acting storyteller perspective, you can see it as 2 journeys, right, Samantha? Before filming the show and then after filming the show? Or do you see it as one big journey with multiple steps? I'm curious about that.
That's a really good question. I've never thought about it like that, but I would say 2 journeys, and not just specific to From. I feel like as an actor, the journey to get on a show is so different than when you're actually filming the show, because it's so isolating and lonely when you're doing the work beforehand, right? Yeah. Like, you're auditioning, you're given very little information, you go through the casting process alone, you're doing your research and your backstory and all your character work alone. And then you get to set and everyone else is there, and you realize, like, oh no, this is a team collaborative environment. We're
team
in this
sport,
This is a fluid sort of living, working organism that will constantly change, but we're doing it together. So I feel like the beginning part feels like you're hiking this mountain alone. And then the second part is, no, you got to the top of the mountain the Frumley is there and you're in it together. So.
Yeah, and you're going to be introduced to the Frumley very soon.
La Familia.
It's going to be crazy. This is probably the hardest question to answer because of the fact that the episodes aren't out yet, right? So we have to be careful with spoilers. But is there something about your character you really like the most in terms of kind of reading it and then actually going and working, right? And actually filming that you like, you maybe didn't know much about, like you knew like she was a cop and everything, but is there anything specific you were like, wow, I really love this? And then while you started filming it, it really kind of stood out a little bit more?
Yeah. I would say going into this, I was very careful and cognizant of the fact that I feel like when people play a character that has a very strong profession, you can kind of get trapped into playing that one note, right? Yeah. And so I wanted to make sure that every time you see Acosta on screen, you sort of see a different side to her, a little bit of texture. It's like you're not playing the badge, like who's the person behind the badge, right? Yeah. So I found there were a few traits that I would see sort of threaded through in the bounds of the writing. And one is she's so perceptive, like constantly aware of her surroundings and what is going on, because that's her training, right? Is like she walks into a room and she's trained to notice the things that other people don't look for. And the second thing is relentless. She does not quit. No and failure are not in her vocabulary.
Absolutely. And episodes of season 3 of From rolling out on MGM Plus. I can't wait for people to be introduced to your character Acosta. You do such an amazing job, Samantha. Seriously, congratulations.
A lot. Thank you so much.
Samantha, it's so great chatting with you. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yes, thank you. We need to do this again at the end of the season and we can discuss much
Absolutely.
more.
No, it'll be great. Your Instagram account is just your name, right? If people want to keep updated with everything.
My Instagram account, it's the worst name ever because there's so many Samantha Browns, but it's Samantha.Brown.__.
It's a lot of dots and underscores.
I know, it is. You gotta
First time ever, I gotta actually put it in the description this time.
You really do. It's ridiculous, but there's just too many of us out there.
Well, this has been Pop Turner at youtube.com/PopTurner. Previous episodes, you, of course, can catch Samantha Brown as Acosta in season 3 of From on MGM Plus. Till next time, Samantha and Peter Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.